It's getting recorded, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we can proceed. So our first question is like, we have to construct the binary tree from in order and pre-order and post-order traversal. In order and post-order is given of a tree. We need to construct a binary tree out of it. So if you look at the post-order, since it's a post-order, you'll look for the roots from behind. So if you see three is the first root, and when you search it here, so in order, the left will be your 9, and the potential candidate for the right will be your 15, 20, and 7. And again, when you search for 20, then 15 will be your left child and 7 will be your right child. So this is the tree that is represented from this. Yeah, any queries here?
So the note says that duplicates do not exist.
Uh, no.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I forgot. Duplicate
yeah.
doesn't exist.
So if there were
Yeah,
duplicates, then it would be more confusing, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think two nodes. Like, how we'll decide in that case? Like, three is there. Which one to take?
Mhm.
Will that be solvable?
I
I
doubt.
mean, we have to then take set of it and then
Mm.
yeah.
Because you can still find
Can't.
out, looking at the post order and in order, but there will be some complexity involved
Yeah.
because as you said,
What if we
For
take just any occurrence of the duplicate?
I'm sorry, yeah, someone had a question.
I didn't.
Sheila, Sheila.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I was saying that if we just take any occurrence of that duplicate,
Yeah.
am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was saying that if we take just any occurrence of that duplicate,
Okay. So he is saying that if there is a duplicate, just take any occurrence
Yeah.
and then actually, because we have post order and in order, so we should be able to construct. That is what he's trying to say, right, Harshit?
yeah, yeah.
I never tried that, but anyway, it might be slightly tricky to work on it. That is what I think, but yeah, maybe we can try it later.
If you take the wrong occurrence,
Yeah.
then left and right subtree going to
Or
change.
Sorry, I'm late, but are we talking if there are duplicates or what?
Yeah, we were just discussing because the note says there are no duplicates, but we were just talking if there were duplicates, then would this be an easy problem to solve? Oh, sorry, a more complex problem to solve, or
yeah.
would it be really solvable or not?
Okay, yeah, I really,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's go with the first
But
normal
if we take the
approach.
set for that, then again orientation will be lost. Okay.
Yeah, something I'm not
Yeah, with
sure.
the
I never
normal,
thought of it.
if
Yeah.
somebody wants to share. So any code somebody wants, or should I share?
Okay, yeah, you can share.
Okay, then let me share it. No. So what I did, I'll first check, since it's a post order, I'll start from back. So I'll take 3 as a root first and then check in the in order where is your root. So what I'm doing in the post, first I'm calculating the size of your post order. After that, I'll just created a root node. Now is the last element I have to take. So size -1, I'll pop and then make it the root of a tree. Now corresponding to this, I'll find what is the index of this element 3 in the in order, so that I'll make up to 3. This will be your left child and the remaining after 3 will be your right child. So this is the index that I got from the in order. Then your left child in order left will be up to this index, like up to 3 you will have all the left, and after that you will have all the right child, that is 15, 20, and 7. And similarly, once you get this as a left, so your post order will also fall in the same like whatever the length of your in order left is there, and apart, and the complement of that will be your post order right, and again then call the function, recursive function in order left and post order. Same thing will be repeated again. Just return the root. And terminating is like if any one of them is over, then you need to return.
And this is a recursion version.
Yeah,
It's
it's a recursion. I'm
Okay.
calling again in order left and post order left.
Hmm.
Mhm.
You're copying the lists altogether, right? At every level.
Yeah, I'm copying the list. I mean, once I get 3, I'm just dividing this sub problem into two, like left part and right part, and corresponding to that, I'll have also, if I get 9, then in post order, that portion will be only for the, what do you say, the root will be taken from that part only, and for this one, the root will be taken, removing that part. At every level, just repeat
So
the
the
same
space
thing.
complexity is n log n, and the runtime complexity is n. Correct?
Runtime will be every time. Let's say if your root is here, then t of n minus 1 plus t of 1. Here it should be order of n
So
only.
it would be O and square.
Yeah, I think so.
We are trying to find the index in non-order.
You're finding the index on line 15.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
that would involve.
Correct. Order of n square.
If we can design our recursive function in without passing the copy, we can maintain a dictionary of in order with index, then we can optimize both the space
So
and time.
why order of n square? Like, I mean, you'll break the problem into 2 parts every time, right? Worst case is like you may have 1 and the remaining you'll have n minus 1. And that if you solve t of n equal to t of n minus 1 plus order of 1, that equation gives order of n square, or
N square.
So because you are actually even copying the strings, right? The least. You are breaking, but at that time you are just removing a root,
yeah.
and just for the next recursive function, you are passing the least again.
Yeah.
You are copying the least, right? So when you are
Yeah.
copying the least twice, it is going to be, it is not going to be exactly n square, but almost equivalent to n square,
Somewhat.
right? Yeah.
And that
So
in order.
that,
Sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
The line number 15 in order dot index, is that log n, or that will be linear also, right? It
It
cannot
will
be
be
log
linear.
n.
No, it will be linear.
Yeah,
It will
Yes.
internally, yeah.
Yeah. So every time you are looking for that, that is linear. So
Mhm.
if you just see for every post order element 3, 20, 7, you're, you're doing that. It will be asymptotically for
N square.
every level. Let us think about this. For 3, it
I
is
think
order
let's
of.
imagine a skewed tree and then we'll understand.
Your voice is breaking, I think.
For,
Harshit or
for 3, it is order of n. For I would say 20, you only are searching 20 in the 1527, that subset. So okay,
n minus.
that's around 2n actually. All the linear searches, they will be around 2n. The first one is around n. Then the other ones are just segmented to just search within those subsets. So
2
if
halves.
we just see, that will be, yeah, asymptotically that will be order of totally 2n. So that is still n actually.
Yeah.
I doubt, because actually you are going down again, right? Even if you're breaking, you're copying the part of the left or right. So because you will have.
Just case we can assume n by 2, n by 4. If the bucket one.
I don't think it's
Just
going to be
imagine
2 of
a
n.
left skewed tree. Understand.
Yeah, okay. So no problem. At least the time complexity is good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Some other approach if somebody has.
Okay, so if no one has, then I will share the normal one, what is in the solution.
Yeah, sure.
So I think Dilip was also saying, right? So here what I'm doing is I'm actually using a map, unordered map. Okay, in this unordered map, actually I'm storing all the indices of the in order one. So I just store the index of each and every in order value in this one, in the map. And then I call this helper function with in order, post order. And then this is a start and end.
So that
So
unordered map will contain element corresponding to them the index.
yeah, it
Key
will
be
it
your
will have only the in orders elements, and it will have their indexes.
indexes. Okay.
Yeah, and so this is one IDX. Actually, I'm using it, for traversing the post order. Okay, so the post order initially here I'm setting it to the last index.
Yeah.
Okay, and then actually I come in this helper function, and then here I actually create a tree node with the post order with that index value, which is the last one first, which is here in this case it is 3. And from that, actually, I using this map, unordered map, I find what is the index of that particular node, and then I divide that into 2. Okay, then one will be the right tree and the left tree here.
Left tree.
So yeah. So for the actually here in post order, I have to actually do the right first and then the left. Right, but if we had a pre-order, then I would have done this the reverse way. That is the only difference in pre-order and post-order when we have to do, when we have to construct a binary tree using in order, pre-order, then only this will change, only this portion, rest both of them will remain same, everything will remain same. So then I'm actually dividing this one in mid +1 and R and L2 mid -1, and then returning the root.
So this is also n square only, right? You are dividing it to right and left, and every time.
Well, actually, these are the indices, right? Indexes only. Here
Let's imagine
actually, and this is just I'm passing this in order vector. I'm just passing to this helper function. It's the reference, and these are the only indexes. Maybe I didn't understand your Python version, but here only if I pass the indexes, means left and right, those of a particular array, and I'm just using it internally. So I thought in your Python you are passing the whole list, but you are actually cutting the list into 2 and then passing it, right?
Yeah, left and right I'm cutting and then passing it.
Yeah, but here it's just the index because I'm using the reference of the vector.
Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was saying that let's take a skewed tree. That would clear things.
Yeah, okay.
Somebody can draw a skewed tree. I can prove that the previous code would be O of n square.
So you are saying if for this approach, if we have a skewed tree, in the sense if it is only on one side, then this this will be O of n square.
Not this one, the previous solution where you were traversing the entire in order array.
Here also it will be also order of n square, I think.
Oh, here you are just storing the indices, so that would be just fetching from them on our map, and that is O of 1 operation.
Oh,
Yeah.
map is using, yeah.
So the map will be O of 1
Yeah.
because it is an unordered map.
So in case of a skew tree, my root would be at the end of the in order.
Yeah.
So I'll have to traverse the entire array, the entire in order array. So that would be O of n, and that would go on for every step.
Yeah.
So it will decrease, no, like first time n, then n minus 1, n minus 2.
Correct, correct. So if you write the
Yeah.
recurrence, then it would be T of n equals to T of n minus 1 plus O of n. So next time it would be T
O
of
of-
n minus 1 equals to T of n minus 2 plus O of n minus 1.
Should that be O of n or O of 1? Constant time to break to get that. No, that O of n is for searching the index in the in order, right? Where that element is
Right.
residing.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, then it will order. I was doing their order of 1. Yeah, makes sense.
But I think you could have done it with the indexes also, right, Shashank?
Yeah,
Instead of
in-
going this
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, index I could have.
Yeah.
But again, I think
But this is an easy way to do it, very quick to do. So it is much
intuitive. Yeah.
understandable also. Yeah, that is right.
Yeah. And secondly, I think you will only be able to draw a tree if in order is given. Pre-order, post-order is given, you won't be able to draw a unique tree, I think.
But you still need either of at least two of them.
In order must be there. It has to be there.
Okay,
For
in
a
order
tree to
and
be
pre-order, or in order and post-order.
Post-order, yeah.
Yeah.
In order, yeah.
I think from pre-order and post-order also we can build. I think so. I saw
Should be
some.
possible, right? Yeah, because I think there are some
Yeah.
questions on that. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. I'll. So only if it is a pre-order, what I was trying to say is only this sequence will change. Like
Left,
right will
right.
be left and left will be right.
Yeah.
So that is the only difference there. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah. It's cool, intuitive one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So any other or next, should we proceed? Okay, let's switch then. So dice roll simulation. So a die simulator will generate a random number from 1 to 6 for each of the roll. You introduced a constraint to the generator such that it cannot roll the number I more than roll max of I, and your array is 1 indexed. Given array of integers roll max and an integer n, you need to return the distinct sequences that can be obtained with exact n rolls. Two sequences are considered different if at least one element differs from each other, and since the answer may be too large, take the modulo of it. So it's like 2 times you are rolling the die, and here it's saying that number 1 on die will occur only 1 time, number 2 will occur 1 time, 3 will occur 2, 4 2, 5 2, and 6 will occur 3 times. So since you are rolling 2 times, so 6 cross 6, 36 possible combinations are there, out of which you cannot have 1 1. One pair will not be there because one is they are telling that one should occur only once, and 2 should also occur once. So 2 2 will also not be there. So these two cases will be ruled out, and so 36 minus 2 will be your 34. And same here, you can go 36. That is the total case, and you can't have 1 1 2 2 3 3 4 4 5 5 6 6. So 36 minus 6, 30 will be here. And here again, 3 means what? 6 into 6 into 6. 36 into 6 is 216, right? And then 1 1 2 2 3 3. No, what? 36 into 6. Here 216, and so this will, I mean, these three, all these three are not possible. Three cases from here, and again here, what you say, this is also not possible, this is also not possible. So you subtract these cases, because only it will be possible if you have a frequency of 3, because they are rolling the die 3 times. So at least 3 you should have. So from here you can
So it is
remove all the
36 into 6 is 216. Yeah.
yeah. So you remove this case, this case, this case, 3 from
Okay.
here, and then again this case also will be removed.
It won't be 3, right?
Because
Because now you are in the third, in second and third. In second, you will remove 3s,
yeah,
and so there you will remove 1, 2, 3, and then I think second only 3 you will remove, so it will be 2 1 3. But when you come down, it will be more than 3 in that case.
Three. Yeah, exactly. I'm missing. I mean, I have to write the cases.
Yeah. Okay, no problem.
Mm. So yeah, this is your max length 6 and n is less than 5k and roll max of I less than 15. Yeah. Any queries here?
Well, the query in the sense, I'm not sure whether it is a query also, but if you look at the nodes, right, the roll max is 15. The maximum is 15.
Yeah.
So
So
they are just limiting to number of 15
15
rolling.
times. That means 15 times you can roll
Okay.
because then only 15 possible. I mean, in one set you can have 15 elements, right? From each die, 15 die if you roll at once, one element from each die if you take in worst case.
Mhm.
So that will be a 15. So at max 15 times you can roll.
Because when they say 6, I am actually assuming that they are using a cube, so which has 6 faces, right?
Yeah.
So I thought my roll max value 15 also might be something limited to the physical limitation of some stuff, but it's not like they are just limiting it to 15. What do you say?
Yeah.
Rolling instances. Okay.
But but again here n is less than 5,000 times we can roll, right?
Yeah. So you can roll 5,000, but your constraints can be only till maximum 15. You cannot go more than that.
Then that, yeah.
Is it correct? Because roll max is a constraint, right? You can, whatever is the value given there, that will be the.
That means if we take one only 15 times, one can occur. More than that, it shouldn't occur, right?
Yeah.
Even if I roll the die 5,000 times, only 15 times it should be repeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you take the example 1, okay, when you are saying n is equal to 2, okay, but now in the roll max values are 1 1 and then 2 2 2 and 3, correct? But if you look at the last value 3,
Yeah.
it is actually no, 3 is not required there. 2 2 is the maximum, right?
Enough.
Yes. So
I don't know why they have given this then.
yeah, so maybe it's just for confusing us or so, I don't know.
I think this
Because
is
at
for
max you can
every
have
digit.
only 2 elements.
This is for every digit,
Pardon?
like digit on the dice.
Yeah, but why 6 3? There is no chance that 6 will occur 3 times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
that does
you are
not affect our
rolling.
solution anyway.
So I was thinking like if n is equal to 5,000 and the roll max only can go for 15, so why we have n is equal to 5,000?
Yeah,
So
the
in
15
that
times
case,
only we should roll.
all those occurrences with more than 15 won't count.
Okay. So
Yeah.
but if your n can be 5,000 okay, almost, but
Yeah,
in that case after 15 it is useless, right? That case also.
yeah, it's useless. Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's not 15, 6 into 15. After 6 into 15, we can't get any.
After 16, yeah. It's greater than 15.
Yeah. So all the roll max contains all 15s.
Uh-huh.
Up to 15. Yeah.
Then one branch can be like 1 15 times, 2 15 times, 3 15 like that. Even though we don't reach 5,000.
Hmm.
But this is useless only 3. I don't know why they have given. 2 there is no possibility that 3 numbers will ever come.
Yeah, at least in the example one,
And
it's
if we
right.
have two also, then also the answer would have been same.
Yeah, if you have two, again, it will be still 34. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be 34, but why 3? I mean, with what logic
Maybe
will they
like example 1 and example 3 have same input, so to show the difference.
in code safe?
Yeah, so if you have, yeah, both the examples are same, 1 and 3, but only n is different. N is 2 and n is 3. And then you see the difference as 34 and the other is 180.
181.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have 3 here, so you can reach roll max to 3. You can have that constraint.
That's correct.
That's correct.
This is a good one, but the other one is like this one.
Okay. So if we have n in the example 1, if we have for n equals 1, so at that time you will have a die rolling for 1 1 1 1, right? So you can have 6 times you can roll if you had only n as 1, correct?
Yeah.
And because you are having n as 2, so in the second one what you will have is for the index 1, because it is 1 based index here, right? So in that case you will actually, you won't have anything for 1 because you have already finished your one rolling. That is a constraint, right? So you will have 6 minus 1. So you can have only 5 rolling in that for the second one. Correct.
Yeah.
Same thing for your 2 also. So your values will be in the first roll of n equal to 1, it will be 1 1 1. And for the second you start, it will be 5 5 and then 6 6 6. And therefore, if you add those 6 6 6 and then the 5 5 means 4 6 and 2 5s, then it will be 34. That is what they are trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have taken
high
equal
level.
to 1.
Yeah. So similarly, if you had n is equal to 3, then because you already have 34, then you will actually subtract again the one from the previous row, right? And then you get the value there.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you explain again how we got 34? I didn't get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to explain it or?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead,
sorry.
Santosh.
Okay.
I didn't understand the explanation given here. I didn't get it. Sorry about that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what I was saying, can you just unshare it? I'll actually
Sure.
try to run something,
Definitely.
So because I did some print statements, so they might be very quick
Useful
to
to
follow.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the logic what I'm using. If I run this, you'll get to know. Okay, you see the standard out, right? So if n is equal to 1, in this case, we are having all 1 1 1s because we are having 6 faces of a die, right? So for each face, you will be rolling, you will have 1 1 1. So your sum will be 6, correct?
Yes.
So when you are again rolling it for the n is equal to second in the second row, so what you are doing is, because you are having constraint of only 1 in the first index, so you cannot roll that again. So therefore, what you are doing is whatever the sum was for the previous one minus that will be 5 here because you are not able to roll it. The second also you are having constraint of 1, so you cannot roll, therefore it is 5. And then for the others you can roll, right? Therefore the sum will be the value will be 6 6 6. So if you add all of these 6 and this 5 2 5, it will be 34. So in the same case, if we increase this to 3, so you will get it this way, because last time it was 34. So then here it will be 29 because you are still having this constraint of 1 over here. You cannot go more than that. So 34 minus 5 will be 29. So your actual value will be 29 29 for the first two cases, and then for the rest it will be 33 33 and 34 because you already have this 3 here, and therefore your answer will be 191 in this case.
Why this 2 5? Can you explain once more? Like once you're done with the first roll, then 1 1 1 you had,
Right.
and out of 6 you subtracted 1 5. So 2 times 5 here, I mean,
Because
for 2, okay.
because if you say, like you have if you write it down, it will be 1 1 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? And in the second case, you won't have 1 and 2, you will have 3 4 5 6, correct? So 1 2 3 4
Yeah,
5 6 in the first row and 3 4 5 6 in the second row. So if you do the combinations, it is going to be 34, correct?
Yeah.
So therefore, because 1 will be used only 5 times, 2 also will be used only 5 times, but 3 will be used 6 times in the combination, as well as 4, 5, 6. And therefore, the values are 5, 5 and 3, 6, 6.
Yeah. Since 1 and 2 frequency is 1, that's why it's like.
Right.
Mhm.
Because we have a constraint here of 1, right?
Yeah.
So in a similar case, if we have 3 rows also, n is equal to 3, in that case, if you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in the second row will be 3, 4, 5, 6, and also third row will be 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you combine all of them together, it will be 191, correct? Because in the first, you can do only a combination of 29 times with a single one. Same thing for the second index also. But for the 3, 4, 5, 6, you can do 3, 4, 5, you can do 33 times, and the last one will be 34 times, because you have
30.
constant here as 3, right?
Yeah.
Santosh,
Yeah.
your example is same as the example 3, right? Your input is same to example 3, but output
No.
output of that.
It's not same. Here triple one is there. There the only double one is.
So you want to do
Okay,
that,
yeah.
then actually I can change this also.
No. I thought the same example you got.
No,
I
I was
also
just actually making some changes there. So
I
yeah,
also thought same.
yeah. So if it
Yeah.
is 3 ones, then you see these will be 28, 28, 28, and then you will have 32, 32, and 32. So it will be 181 there. You understood, right? The way they are doing it is, for if we had that the normal one. Sorry. So for the first one, if we have a dice like for n is equal to 1, n is equal to 1, actually your die will be 1, then will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Six.
right?
Yeah.
But for the first example I'm just taking, so when n is equal to 2, you won't have 1 and 2 here, right? So because you have already consumed, so you will have 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now if you do the combination of all of them, okay, so you can use 1 and 3, okay, 3 and 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3, 6, okay. Same thing for 4. And if you do all these combinations together, then it will be 34.
So from here 24 combinations will be possible, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into 4, right?
Okay. If you want to do in the combination, so we'll start with 1
3.
and 3, right? So
1, 3, 1, 4,
3,
1, 5, 1, 6.
1, 3, 1, 4, right? 1, 5, and 1, 6.
Again
So
with 2.
these will be 4 combinations, right? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
4 combinations. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6.
Correct.
So we have
2, 3.
2, 3, then 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6. So this will be 4, right?
So corresponding to every number you'll have 4, so which is 24. Corresponding to 1 you'll have 4. Corresponding to 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4. Because only 4 elements are there in second set, right? So it will be 24.
Okay. So 1, 1, 1, 2. And so if we do it this way, so for 3, okay, 1 met. So you will have, no, you should be having, so you won't have only 1, 1, then 2, 2, right? So 1, 1, so you can have 1, 2 also combination, right? Here. In this case, in the first case, you can have also 1, 2, right? And in the second case, you can have 2, 1 also, correct?
Internal combinations also you are taking, right?
Yeah, you will have these combinations at least, right? Here in this first one.
Right.
So that will be a 5 here, and this will be 5, correct? So 1, 2, but this will be, you won't be able to have 3, 3, 4, 4. You can have 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. But for 1, 1, you won't be able to have 1, 1 and 2, 2. Correct?
Yeah, because only one dice is
Yeah,
there.
only one dice there. So again, if you go for the other ones, you will have similar one, right? So you will have
3 3.
yeah, you will have 3 3. So you will have 1 3 also in that case, right? And 2 3 also. So you have 3 3, then you will have 3 4, correct? So you will 3 5 and 3 6. So in that case, you will have 6 in this combinations. So for the 4 also, you will have the similar, you will have 6 combinations, right? And for the 5 also, you will have 6 combinations. And for 6, you will have 6 combinations. So this will be 4 6 is 24, and then 2 5. So that will be 34, correct?
So when you went to n equal to there, where is that combination 3 3 4 4 5 5 6 6? That should also be there, no?
Sorry?
That for the n equal to 3 3 4 or 4 4 will come here, right? In 4 6, where you have 20, 32 line, 4 4 will be there.
In line 32, right?
4 4 will be there again
Yeah,
in
yeah.
5.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't do all. So
Yeah,
if
yeah, I
you
got
say
it.
4
Yeah,
4
yeah.
1, so you will have 4
4
2.
2.
So at the time only you have to have 2 ones like this, right? You can have 2 these ones, and you can have 2 these twos, right? So 1 and 3,
Yeah.
or 1 and 4, 1 and 5, and 1 and 6. Also you can have 1 and 3, right? So then you can have, so that combinations, if you do, it will be 34.
Fine.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this was like
It's a nice one.
Sorry.
so this if we construct in brute force like a whole tree unto up to n levels, and we find the number of nodes in nth level, so that you are finding the same thing without constructing the tree, right?
Sorry, come again, please.
Yeah. So if we look into the brute force of this problem, we need to construct a whole tree. Like root will have all the 6 dice, and then one will have the next leaf until it exhausts, and we construct the n levels. And number of nodes in the nth level is our answer, right?
Yeah. So at the end, you will have that answer. At the nth
Yeah, so
level,
that's
when you
trying
add
to
all
find.
of them, you will have that answer. Correct.
Yeah.
Because you are building on based on the previous levels, right? The current level you are actually building on the previous level. So you actually see what combinations are possible in the first level. Because here in this case, when you have only n equals 1, your combinations will be only 6, correct? You can have, if you had only n equal to 1, it will be 1 1 1 1, so it will be 6, correct? So if you now you are having 2, therefore you can have so many combinations, correct? So you can have, in this case, you can have 5 combinations because you're restricting only 1. So here you can have another 5. So for all of them 6, and therefore you will be having 34. But then when you go for n is equal to 2, you are going to use this as a base case, 34. And based on that, actually, you are going to do the restrictions. Like in the case of 1, you are having only 1 dice. So you can actually subtract the previous value of the n2 or the n3. And then you can actually construct that whole sequence. So here actually it was the second one, right? We changed this one. So therefore here it is now 28, 28. So you're actually using this 33. And then when you subtract 5 from here, you will get 28. So the same case you will get 28, 28. And then here actually from 33, if you subtract, okay, so you are not going to subtract anything here because they are all, the constant is 2 2.
It will be over by that time.
Right, yeah.
By third, when you reach third case, that 2 2 will be over. I mean, 1 2 3 4 5. Yeah.
So yeah, your 2 2 will be over, but you can actually subtract 1 in that case. Correct, because your constant is 2. So in that case, you are going to only subtract 1 from this case because you are actually comparing with this 3 here. So in the third case, when you see the last one, 6, you actually
Zero
have
subtract.
roll max is 3. So 3 minus 3, you cannot subtract anything in this case.
It's depending on the previous sum.
Yeah,
And
previous,
whatever constant is that
yeah,
you minus.
with the constant also, and based on the current level.
Level, yeah. Yeah, nice one.
Yeah.
So code, can you go?
Well,
It's a
I
DP
actually,
only, like
yeah,
similar.
I use the same thing what it was in the one of the discussion session. So I'm using this array over here, DP array, which is 2 by 2 dimensional array. So n I'm considering as rows, and I'm using them an extra row in this case, and then I'm using 6 dice as a column. So another array I'm using, which is sum. I just storing, because this array will be the number of levels. So I'm just storing the number of sums, whatever is happening for each and every level here. So the base condition is here is n is equal for some 0, it will be 1. Then I keep doing this for each and every one. So here actually there is some, this is whatever things happen here, the calculations here. So each and every time actually I subtract that, because I'm actually accumulating each and every level's value in the sum for a particular row. So therefore I use this sum value, as I showed you, right, that 34, and then I subtract whatever is that from the previous, in this case the previous one. So, but when I'm subtracting, actually I look for if I minus k is greater than or equal to 0. So because I want to restrict at each and every level, I don't want to go, because if I'm at level 2, okay, I don't want to go more than 3 in that case, right?
Yeah.
So therefore I'm just restricting, this is the case only to restrict to go further. Yeah.
And previous one, yeah.
So this p is nothing but the mod value.
This problem doesn't falls under medium, I think.
Frankly, I didn't understand it properly. So, but then I had to print the whole thing to understand it, how it is. But it made slightly some sense. I'm not sure it really made more sense to me either. And if anyone has more inputs on that or a different approach, it will be helpful for all.
So yeah, it's like,
Because I started with the earlier one using a top-down approach. So I found somewhere again the same thing. It was, they said it is something like a DFS used this way. Okay. And so it was something here like you have the previous value they were taking, then current, what is the length, because you start with the length as 0 and previous value is 0 in this case, and n is the level.
yeah.
And then you are actually passing the whole roll max. You come here. But then again you have a for loop for the usual DP top-down approach, because you are having 6 faces of a die, right? So when you go in that, and so when you see that in a particular case, if your previous number is the same, or the previous index is the same as the current index, and if your length of that rm is the roll max, if it is equal, then actually you continue, you don't do that, and you move to the next index, right? So you start again from that, and every time you are done with that, you decrement 1 die each and every time. So, and then actually when you come to the end, you actually see if there are no dice, then you return 1 value, and this one will be actually percolated, and through the recursion it comes over here and then keeps on adding. So based on what the number of dice and levels we have. So it was okay to understand, but even the bottom of approach is not very
3D
clear for
recursion,
me.
yeah.
So, but this looks
This kind of
slightly
3D
better.
recursion, right?
It is 3D recursion.
Yeah. So yeah. So this length will give you what, count or count only, no?
So this length actually, it is whatever you have in that R max, right? So if your
Okay.
value in the Rmax is greater than that, then actually it stops you, because it goes into it till that particular length and then it continues. So it moves
Level.
to the next index.
Yeah.
Because in the recursion, you're starting always from 0 position.
Exactly.
So therefore, it will repeat for each and everything. So even if you go from 0, then when you are cross for that, in the case of the first example, we had 1 in
Yeah.
this case. So when your length is 1, actually this I will increment. So your previous I and the current I won't be the same. Therefore, you are starting with the value of a new len as 1 in that case, and then you are moving on.
It's a bit again intricate to comprehend what
Yeah,
it is like.
slightly, yeah.
Yeah,
Because if you see the memo also, it is 3-dimensional
yeah, that
array, yeah.
very rare. I've
Share
seen. I
this
mean,
code
this
in the
I've
Slack
seen.
group.
Pardon?
Can you please share this code, this solution to the Slack group?
Sure, I'll do that. But frankly, I'm trying to actually, open up a discussion if possible, because it was very difficult for me to understand this. And therefore, I came up both these approaches and I was printing the numbers. But what they are explaining, as per that, actually we get the values. So I was slightly better off there. And I tried to go through many forums and Google search also, but couldn't find much satisfactory answer on all these things.
3D regression is
Yeah, maybe.
I tried using
that
the
makes
one you
it more.
showed above.
Sorry, would you please share that then?
So it's the same, the one you showed. I also found from the discussion only.
Okay, no problem. But if you want, you can share it so we can go
But
through
it's
that.
exactly the same.
Okay.
So this DP solution is like kind of optimization on the brute force, right? Directly optimization of the tree.
You can say that, but I didn't find any other way to solve this problem, because I thought if it comes to a rolling die, you always go for each and every phase of a die, correct? And then you actually try to eliminate each and every die to find a solution. So DFS actually is a good way of doing that, but if you add memoization, actually it becomes a DP problem because it has overlapping also.
So I assume this question is like if we try to construct a trie, but instead of characters we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we need to have a string. The trie length is n. If we ignore that roll max, then we have like n into 6 number of levels, right? Like number of nodes in the nth level.
Using a constructor trie.
Yeah. So like instead of d like that, so it's like a trie, right?
Okay.
Like a brute force. Like you have all the 6 in first level. Then for each one in the node, like for 1 we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and like that. So like that you will have n levels. Now if you try to apply the roll max on that, few levels will cut down before n levels. So total number of nodes at the nth level is our answer, right?
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Did you try to implement?
Try that.
Yeah, try.
I didn't implement, but
Okay.
that's kind of I
No,
thought.
yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah.
But maybe some of this DP is solving the same problem without constructing that whole trie.
Yeah.
Try same thing. I mean, DP also you are storing, and try also in the form of tree you are storing. I mean,
Yeah, but
somewhat
trie would
similar
be like
only.
so much bigger, exhausted. But without constructing the whole trie, DP is somehow solving that n into 6, so like n square
Yeah.
space.
I searched for many things, but I didn't get any such blog or something like that which would make it much more simpler.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
true. So what
Yeah,
is
we
the way
can.
you implemented? What is
What
your
I did is like I took it from there itself. I'm also not clear much. What the concept is like. First, we are checking uh, how many when you roll the die first time, you'll have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
So next time when you roll the die, the two what are the ways by which you can't get two ones? I mean, how can we get the sequences ending with two ones? So that is possible only when it can be generated by adding one to the previous sequences, whatever you have got, ending with one. That is the only one way by which you can avoid, right? Like initially you generated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now next time there is a restriction that one should be generated only once. So that is possible only when we have previous sequences which are ending with one. So if you that means to the one you can't add one to it. That is one way by which one can't be what you say won't be your possible solution. And next we'll see how many sequences are there in which one will be ending, like 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 1. This for n equal to 2 when you roll the die second time.
Uh-huh.
And again, I myself is not much clear regarding this. Like this, I got like one. This I'll show you. I try to print some statement. Initially, I created this one 6 times. For the first time when you roll the die, each sum will be 1, 1, 1, and 1. You got the total sum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next time, you are not supposed to generate 1, 1, and 2, 1. So 1 will be deleted from your number. Out of 6 minus 1, 5 will be there.
Mm-hmm.
So that I generated 5, but I'm not getting like what is happening inside. Mm, I did it, but
So yeah, you can have only 5 combinations for one. That is correct, right? Because uh, or else you could get 6 combinations had it
minus
you
1.
had one also to that, right? So then you could get 6 combinations because you already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the first level. In the second level,
Yeah,
you don't have one. Okay. So but
yeah,
you are assuming you will have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 also, correct?
exactly. Uh-huh.
So therefore you will get 5 in that case. But when you go to 2,
Two.
yeah, you know that you don't have 2, but you are assuming you will have 5 1 also. So therefore you are getting 5 in that case.
Oh, in the next one, right?
Right, yeah.
Mm,
Because you are just looking at the previous level and using your current one.
current sum, huh?
Yeah.
Current sum will be your total sum minus the one which you have already seen. I mean,
Yeah.
computed.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is what the current one is. Again, this line I didn't get. They're reversing it from the backside and then updating
Which one? Line
this
18?
line 18. Hmm. They're reversing the answer array from backside, and each time they are just updating the jet. Jet means J.
So, okay. So J actually is your column, correct?
Column.
So you are updating the current cell with the previous cell.
Previous cell
And
is the matrix that is generated after that.
okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's slightly complex to,
Yeah,
yeah.
I tried many times, like an hour like that, but I thought I will, but it's not.
Yeah, so in this you have one for loop. The first for loop you are
Mhm.
actually getting the sum, current sum,
Mhm.
because you are using the previous total sum and then subtracting the sum of the current range,
At ith
current
index.
cell. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So your total sum might be 6, and then you are actually subtracting the previous one's I, which will be 1. So then you will get a current sum here. Or for the
5.
second one, it will be 5. Okay.
Hmm.
And then in this case, what you are trying to do, you are actually just adding, right, in the I of j. Okay, you are storing the previous
I'm
one.
traversing that answer array from backside,
Mhm.
from length. Yeah. I don't know what. From here, this side I'm traversing.
Okay. So
And then I
1 0.
need to. Yeah, sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll maybe just post this also, and then
Yeah, sure.
I'll try to go through.
See. Like, okay. Till then we can switch to next.
Yeah.
Mm. Next is like concatenated words. A list of words is given without duplicates. We need to write a program that will return all the concatenated words in the given list of words. A word is defined as a string that is comprised entirely of at least 2 shorter words in the given array. So if you see here, cats, dogs, cats, this is a combination of your cats, dog, and your cats. And again, this dog, cats, and dogs. Same for this. The number of elements will not exceed 10k, and length of sum of elements in the given array is this. It will include only lowercase letters, and returned elements order does not matter. Yeah, any queries in this?
So this problem seems to be like you are given an input of
Hmm.
strings, and then each and every string in that array of string, you need to find if you can break them uh, in other strings, in substrings. So actually you find
Which
a
are already
match.
present.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And if you find a match of at least it's made of 2 such what you say strings in the same input, then you can return that particular string.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah, string.
Yeah, word or string. Yeah. So the implementation almost is the same what I was talking out. So
Yeah.
you just run through the whole input string, and each and every, you just take each and every string from that and just try to parse it and find if there are any more uh, strings in the same input, and then actually form an array, a return array where you store if you find those strings. And it says you have to have at least 2 such strings, right, to make that
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
satisfy the condition.
And
It's
we
like a
can use
word
the
break problem.
and
Yeah,
we
go
can use
ahead.
the same word again and again in the like
Yeah,
again and again.
I cannot recall, but I
Yeah.
was asked this question in one of the interviews.
Wow.
And yeah,
Awesome.
and I think the way we can do it is using try. Also, we can do that.
Yeah, try also you can use. But that becomes more, what do you say? I won't say more like, but DP was
No, try is a very interesting one to do, but uh, considering the interview time frame, slightly might be more, right? I'm not
need
sure.
good hands-on practice we need to have on try,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it becomes.
Yeah, so we can use like define function and don't implement try, but like tell them we can assume I have the try and these are the method definition that we have for the try. and then go about solving the problem. And if the time permits, then you come back to implementing try methods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yes,
But
you have two methods of a try, like an insert and search, something like that, right?
Delete,
Yeah,
insert, search, delete. Delete, not
but
update the word.
delete not required, but I think inserts and then search would search a word. So search and search word, these two are different things. So we also need to check if it is making a complete word.
Right.
but one thing I was thinking, like, so DP would not be like an alternate to try, right? It's just like just a searching purpose. Like, so instead of creating a set, we'll use try to search words, but like the solution has to be a DP solution.
DP is also doing same thing. No, I mean, when you break the string, you'll check whether that is present in your string or not. I mean, whether that is a valid or not. Same thing you are doing in try also, as searching whether,
Yeah,
like
but
say if you
like
break the word cat, yeah.
yeah, so in DP, like in the word break, so we say like like for a word length L, we check for like 0 to I, so that whether that DP is true or not. If it's true, then we check from I to L. That I to L searching can be done on a try, but like I mean, try is not an alternate to DP. It should be like used with this thing. What I was thinking, like based on my solution, what I have.
Oh, you have a DP solution?
No, I have a memoization, like our like a brute force solution, but like I was using sets, and in that sets can be like instead of that I can use try, but like DP means it's not like try is an alternate to DP. DP has to be used. That's what I
No, but
like based.
I used DP only, I think.
So you're saying like if you are using a set, instead of set, you could use a try, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct. What you're saying is correct. But I didn't understand the way you said when you have to use a DP. Uh,
Like someone was saying like instead of DP we can use try, so I got like I was confused with that.
I think we can do with try itself, right? Like, we
yeah.
constructed try, and for each word we try, we check in a try. If we end up somewhere in middle of the word, then again we start from the root of the try.
Yeah. But
So that's why if we go two words,
yeah.
then we conclude that.
Yeah.
So what I did is like I took every words and first I created a set out of all the words present in your input. Then whenever you have to, let's say I have to use cat and check it. So I'll first remove it from there and then I'll pass it into a function called canBreak. What it will do, at every character it will parse and check whether it is present in your, what do you say, whether like C and AT, it will see whether C is present there in your input or not and AT is present or not. So if that is so, then that's a valid break you are doing. So this condition is like, if it's not present in a dictionary words, I mean dictionary words is empty, then you return false. These are the base conditions. And initially, and yeah, empty space will also be considered as one of the, what do you say, valid one. So this is the DP that I created for single DP array, false initially, and for the first, like for the input string, it will be 0. And now just going through all the characters from n plus 1, because you'll have empty character, and going through all the, what do you say, from 0 to I, like I is any intermediate. Let's say initially I'll take C, then CA I'll take, then CAT I'll check. If it is false, you continue. Otherwise, if you find that that is present in your dictionary, that means you're good to go. You update your DPI at that place with true and just come out of this loop, and at last just return DP of n. Yeah,
You are using DP the way he was
mentioning.
Okay, yeah.
One question. Could you please go a little up?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So line number 10, from pure Python perspective, what does it do?
It will create a n plus 1 array of size n plus 1, which will have false written in that.
So all of them will be initialized to false?
Yeah.
What is that underscore doing there? That was not clear, so I asked.
Yeah. It's like any variable you can also take. I'll show you. See this array will be like false,
Okay.
false, false, false. Yeah. That when we don't have any use of, I mean, you could have used some other variable, but generally we use underscore when we don't need to have any meaningful variables over there, or
Okay.
we don't need to use that variable anywhere further.
So
Simply I
we are
have to fill this DP array. Yeah.
So we are basically creating a n+1 element array, and all of them are initialized to false, correct?
False, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
Aryan
think
was saying the same thing. You have to use a DP. Yeah. So
D-
you are using it, right? Yeah.
yeah.
We
Previous
can
problem should
we
have
can,
been here, I think.
yeah, we can use one
Yeah, go
modification
ahead.
here, like while like when trying to search for the words, when whether we're checking like break or not break, right? We can just sort that set of words like based on the length, because we need to like break the a bigger length word into smaller length words. So like if it
Exactly. Yeah.
that one modification will help, like I saw in one of
Because
the like discussion sessions, then I realized
yeah,
that.
because bigger words will never be a substring for smaller words. So
Yes, yeah,
once
yes,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah, that's
exactly.
why you need to knock it out of the there. Yeah. I also saw this one.
Yeah.
That's good. I never thought of the DP way.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
had
good to
seen
bring it here. Yeah.
yeah.
Because I did it the very simple way I was describing. I just put everything into a set first, in an
Yeah.
unordered set,
So
and
yes.
then actually I went for each and every word, and I started looking for that. If I find a suffix and prefix of any word in that set, then I would return it true, or else actually return false.
So it's the same thing what you are doing. Recursion only you might have used for also that, no? Like your
Absolutely, I have to use recursion.
yeah.
Yeah,
Same
but
thing. I
yeah,
think it's almost
recursion
yours
will
would be
actually tend to this one. Yeah, that's correct.
yeah.
But this never came to my mind. Yeah, it can be used as a DP. Yeah, that's good.
I checked the solution and I got this one. It was like
What's the time complexity for the DP approach?
it will be let's see, for this will be order of n, right? N square it will be, because see every word you are taking and passing it through your what you say this function, right? And here again two loops we are using, what you say, here we are using two loops for every word, like for every word you will go from what do you say starting to the end. So if there are n total words, n into n, it should be order of n square.
Do you really go? Because
I'm breaking here.
Because you will look for a start of a alphabet, right? And then you will just skip, because you're not going to look for the whole string. If you're looking for cats and if you find rats, you just look at the first character, it's R, you're just skipping it. You won't go for RATS.
Yeah, this continuous step is doing.
Yeah.
But that's the best case, right? Like in first character didn't match. Let's say some of them matched. You went to the middle and then it's not matching.
Yeah, if you have a case like A, 3 times A, 4 times A, 5 times A, yeah.
Yeah,
That might be
in
slightly
that case, worst case will be yeah. Yeah, you can share your code. Let's see.
Yeah, mine is pretty simple. It's not a
Yeah, it's the same only, I think. But
almost the
what is
same.
it?
Yeah. So what I did here actually, this is the unordered set, and I'm storing all the words in this unordered set here. And then I'm looking for each and every word again, and then I'm running through this is concat. I'm passing the word and the set. So if this returns true, I add to my answer vector, which I'm going to return the output. array, and then I push back this word. So is concat actually is the one which does a recursive call. So I have a word here, I look for the word and I take the length of the word. So I'm therefore starting from 1 and always taking the substring first as a prefix, and I try to find if that prefix is in the set. If it is in the set, then only I go inside, and then I create another suffix because I already have checked for the prefix. So I need to find what is the suffix, because whatever is remaining will be a suffix for me. And then if I find a suffix in my set, then I return true. If I don't find, then actually I go again in that is concat in the same, in a recursive way, and try to find if I can find the suffix, for the other words in the set. And then I keep on coming here, and then if I find any one of them, I return true, or else I return false.
False.
Right. So if you would have done as a try what like Darshan was saying, so
suffix will be
like
avoided.
So the set would be avoided. Then this insert and the search word, something like that. Like we have a here, like when I do a search, is concat, so I can search for a word in a try. So instead of using a recursive call, it could have been just calling a try, a search word. So this whole thing could be avoided, right?
Avoided, yeah.
So, but no, still I would have to create a word. Yeah, I'll still have to go through this one, correct? But in that, when I'm going through each and every substring, like if I add a prefix, at that time I will just look in the try. If I find in a try for all of that, and then I shall keep on moving it. And if I go to the end of the word size, then actually see, oh, it is true, or else I return a false.
False,
yeah. Yeah, try would be a more optimized way, I would say, in this case. But for your case, the
again,
solution is much better.
Add-on it is. Yeah. But try is another head. Like we need to implement it.
It is easy to implement, but only thing is if you don't get it correct at that time, then it might be, you will.
Yes, it will become,
Yeah, you will be stressed out in an interview. But if you keep on practicing a couple of times, then it should not be a big deal.
Yeah, that's true.
That is what my thoughts are. But yeah.
I have like a different solution, like where I have used 2 sets. Like I would like to share that.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have here taken 2 sets, like one is called set, one is called primitive set. So this set is like adding all the words like in the other solution that we did. And another is called a primitive word set. So primitive word set is like a word which cannot be broken again into smaller words. Okay, so first I'll add all the words into my set. So then for each word, I check whether it's like a primitive or not. So for what I do is like I check, I try to get all prefix and suffix for all the words. And then I check whether that prefix and suffix is both in the set of the words. Then it cannot be a primitive word actually. So if both the prefix and suffix are not in this set, then it returns true. So it means like it's a primitive. So like I can, like if the word is primitive for me, so like in no more than I can break. So then it returns. So then I add into like a primitive set of words. And then for each word I check whether it's a primitive word or not. If it's not a primitive word, it means like I can break into two or more words, and then I add it to my result.
But how can you be sure that the word what you are breaking, you have the primitive ones in that?
So here you can check like so for that word, I'm checking for each prefix and suffix. So there are three conditions. Either both prefix and suffix are present in the set. Either prefix is present or either suffix is present. So in these all three conditions, I'm returning false. It means like it's not a primitive word for me. If the suffix and the prefix in the both the times it's not present, then it's a primitive word for me, because I cannot break that word into like more than two or more words.
If prefix matches, that doesn't imply that suffix will match, right?
Yeah. So this condition is for that. So like if prefix is there and suffix is not there, it means like the word is not a valid word, but it has been broken. Like, so these are those conditions. So like it's going recursively and checking.
Right. So prefix, if you find a prefix as well as a suffix, then you return false.
Yes.
Okay. So
Means it can be broken into two or more words.
also it can be broken, so you're not considering. So you're actually only considering the non-breakable.
Yes, non-breakable words. So primitive words will be the one which cannot be broken down.
So, but in this, you are trying to actually verify that the ones which are non-primitive can be broken down perfectly.
Yes. So this will tell me whether that word can be broken down or not. If it cannot be broken down, then I add this into the list.
Oh, okay, yeah, makes sense, yeah.
And then I again try out like for each word, and then I add it to my result.
Yeah. This is a good one, yeah.
So the DP, so this runs actually better than the DP solution. I don't know why.
No, it's good.
Its lead code starts, but I don't completely believe it. So
yeah, maybe because you're pre-computing all those primitive ones, right? So that might be helping. Yeah, actually DP is supposed to be actually have a workable solution. So when you have some workable solution in a DP, that itself is a great thing, I would say. So time complexity, I'm fine, whether it goes here and there, that's not a big thing. And then you can still do optimizations every time.
Yes.
Also, yeah. No, good. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. That's a wonderful one. Yeah, the dice one was slightly tricky.